Hello, welcome to Guitar Zone. I'm Robert Noel. Well, this is a special lesson to go into more on intervals. Now, I have a previous video where I talk about the 12 tones, and I'm going to take it that you've already learned the 12 tone in form 2. Which would have been looking at a form 2 area in the scale, okay? So when you got your form 2, major scale, minor scale, whatever, you've got 12 tones. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it starts over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you're back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, up to 12, brings you back to A. So the 12-tone system. I want to focus more on the sound of intervals so that you begin to hear intervals and know the relationship, because an interval is the distance between two notes. So you have two notes. What do they sound like when you strike them together? Some will sound harmonious, some will sound dissonant. So we have those two worlds and kind of the in-between. Some will sound dark, some toxic, nasty. Some will sound really rather warm and pleasing. So let's look at intervals a little more today, okay? This great 335 here, the dot neck, right? Okay, so I'm going to try to get closer in here. So I'm in form 2, and I'm dealing with that chromatic scale that I did, that 2-octave scale. But I want to look at, of course, we know our octaves, and you should, of course, see them in form 2. Let's take a look at the next interval. After the octave comes the minor second. The minor second belongs in a chromatic scale, and we might find it in some other exotic scales. But let's listen to what a minor second sounds like. So if I take A and B flat or A sharp and play those two notes together, well, how could I do that? Maybe I could do it like this. Put my fourth finger on A and my first finger down on the A sharp, first fret. That sounds not so nice. Very dissonant. What if I was to take that root note and maybe play the minor second up above the next octave? It's what minor seconds sound like. Well, I could even take it and go to the top octave and go up to that B flat way up here in the second octave. Or I could use the middle octave for that. So, any way I look at it, it's really not a nice sound. I've got my root and that minor second. When you put those two notes together, you've got dissonance. A close relationship. A half step away. Now, if I go to a major second, that would be B and the root A, and I can find a way to play A and B together. I also get kind of a not so nice tone. Kind of sounds dissonant to me. See, I play it up here in the next octave. Doesn't sound so bad there. So I'm playing A and B together. What if I play A here and B way up here? Or I play A, how else could I do it? I could play my major second here, which is my B note. So the major second, to me, can have both worlds in a way, because when we play like a minor chord, for example, and we've got a 1, maybe a 7, a minor third, a 5th, and we add that 2, we get a beautiful sound. So we really refer to that 2 as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's kind of like if I'm playing an A7 chord and I add that to a chord, well, I'm kind of getting some dissonance, but if I put it above the octaves, actually be kind of a very soothing, very mellow, warm sound, the minor second. So the major second is the second tone, the interval of what we call a major second is A and B played together. Now we go to the third interval from A, step and a half, because it's a minor third. So we go a whole step and a half and we get A to C. Well, that gives us our minor third. If we can play an A and a C note together, we get that very dark sound in the low octave. Another pattern way up here. For the G and B string, we get a little different pattern, right? Like your minor chord here, your A and your C together. That's your distance of a minor third interval. I can add a minor third to a chord on the top. Sounds really cool. But it's kind of dark, it's got that irony of blues, and a lot of people refer to the minor third as the blue tone. The minor third. Third. Minor third, root. Minor third. Minor third. Minor third. That minor third, it's in your minor chords. You got to have a minor third to have a minor chord. So 1, 3, and a perfect fifth gives you the, it can be inversions of that. The 3 can be in the bottom, or the root can be in the bottom, or the 5 can be in the bottom. So you can have inversions of the triad, or you can be in root position, which would be A in this case, and then you would have your minor third, which is C, and your perfect fifth, which is E. So we know the minor third to me has a very, very dark sound. It also has that bluesy sound. The next tone is the major third. So now we've gone a step and a half, and we go 2 whole steps, and we get to C sharp. So C sharp and A give us harmony. There's that major third, that beautiful warm sound. If I just bar up here on the G and B string on the 14th fret, just like coming down here, part of the A chord, there's my root and my major third. That major third always has that mellowness. The major third. major third, major third, major third. You have it in these wonderful 7th chords, 13th chords, these type 2 bar chords. You got major third, gives us the major tonality. So I see a very warm color. I see like an orange or a yellow or a warm color when I hear major thirds. It makes me think really nice and warm, and maybe love, understanding. So there's a lot of psychology that you can have to any one of these intervals, the dissonant ones and the consonant ones, okay? So major third, warm, unlike the minor third, which is cold and kind of gloomy and sad, right? Next is the perfect fourth. So if we went 1.5 steps, minor third, major third, 2 steps, 2.5 steps gives us A to D, and if I play A and D together, I get the distance or the interval of a perfect fourth. If I play A and D together, that's a perfect fourth. The distance, big jump, A to the D, the perfect fourth. That fourth. So the perfect fourth, I always kind of hear that oriental. If I was to just bar my notes and just play like scale tones, it's kind of almost like an oriental kind of sound. So perfect fourths. Yes, very, very cool interval. So how else could I play? Well, I could play A and D this way. Maybe I could play it like a big jump, a big spread, and play A and D, or A and D, instead of doing that. It's another way to play fourths, right? The big jump to the fourth. Low octave A and above the octave fourth. What if I put it way up here? Fourths, 2 fourths with an A in the bottom. So perfect fourths. You hear it in that suspended chord. There's my fourth. So that the fourth. I love soloing when I'm soloing with that tone because that fourth, it kind of hangs. I kind of call it sometimes the pouting note. If you're playing slow blues and it just kind of, lackadaisical. It's not dissonant and it's not harmonious. It kind of has the character of both. It's that in between. It's that limbo note. That fourth is that. You got your tritone neck. So the perfect fourth really has a lot of character. I love perfect fourths. They're just kind of unusual, and I like to play around with them and add them to my riffs and my chords sometimes, okay, arpeggios. All right, well, after the perfect fourth, go one more half step up, and we've got that tritone. What I call a tritone, or a flat five, or a sharp fourth. Here's five, and there's the tritone. So to me, that's very poisonous. It's dissonant. I can add another A, another tritone here, and I've got that wonderful chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a root, a tritone, a root, a tritone. So that tritone, it's dissonant. It builds tension. Because when I hit that tritone, it kind of wants to go, it'll go up to the fifth or down to the perfect fourth. Perfect fifth, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, tritone. So that tritone's between the perfect fourth and perfect fifth. It's sick. It's you know, I can't tell you. It's some people might even say evil. Sinister. My tritone. Can I add a 7 on the top of that tritone? You hear how it kind of leads? Tritone, tritone. Good for riffs. But that tritone leads. You can get off that tension by going a half step down or half step up. So that tritone's really nice to lead into the fourth when you're doing riffs. And if I want to ever build tension or get ugly, it's one of the best intervals I could play is a tritone. Perfect fifth. So we got to the tritone. We started with root, minor seconds, minor thirds, major thirds, perfect fourth, the tritone, flat five, and then now we're at the perfect fifth. So your perfect fifth, you know, that's your... Your heavy metal, your heavy rock. So it's very, very heavy, very powerful, very in your face. But if I'm not doing the perfect fifths as a tritone or a perfect fifth two-note hit, well, of course, we know that the perfect fifth in the root is part of a major chord. So if you take that fifth, you got a root and a fifth, or maybe I've got a root here and a fifth. Anytime I take the fifth and add a major third, then I have a major triad. If I add the minor third with the fifth and the root, then I get the minor triad. So the fifth is part of chords. It's part of the fundamental triads in music. So we actually have a real chord by having a triad when we have a root, either a major or minor third, and a perfect fifth. So that fifth really kind of, it gives credibility, you know. To me, it's a very powerful tone. If I'm playing arpeggios, that fifth. And it leads us to the 5 chord when we're playing blues. And you go to that E chord, whatever it may be, and you're kind of turning around. It helps you turn around to the 5 because the 5 chord is built on the perfect fifth, or the fifth interval of the major scale or minor scale or whatever scale. Augmented. You can add, put a, you know, that fifth can be part of something. But it brings me down to earth. That's the way I like to think of it too. So when I hit that fifth, it kind of grounds me. You know, it brings me down. That fifth. Because it brings me into the chord. If I go up to D, to E, so fifths, I love them. Perfect fifth. How about the next interval? If we go a half step up from perfect fifth, we get to the minor 6. Unique to the pure minor scale, right? Harmonic minor. So look, if I play the minor 6 in the root, I get kind of that dark sound, that maybe slightly poisonous, but interesting. So I'm playing A and F. Root, minor 6. Root, minor 6. Because it wants to go to the 5, like the tritone wanted to go to the 5. It wants to go to that half step back down to 5. Or go to a 6. The major 6, which is the next interval. And if you're going to play chromatically, that minor 6. You know, am I playing an A minor chord? Add that 6 with your first finger, and you got an A minor 6. Yeah, interesting chord. The minor 6 adds a lot of interest. trill. The major 6 would be your next tone. And if we were doing our 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the minor 3rd, major 3rd, perfect 5th, tritone, perfect 5th, minor 6, and the next tone, if I go up one more, is the major 6, but I'm going to keep it in the form 2. So I'm going to go down to the 4th fret for the F sharp. So here's our major 6. That kind of sounds consonant to me. It's warm. That is warm to me. It's pleasing. Unlike the minor 6, a little So if I'm up here on and I go way up here to A, and I get that there's a major 6. Kind of a nice note to, I guess I end phrases with it, you know. The half step to the dominant 7 or minor 7. And I use the 6, dominant 7, minor 6, perfect 5th. Down to a major 6 again. So we can add 6, major 6 to our chord, and a lot of people call that, instead of calling it 6, if we count from the low octave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's where we get the A13. The 13th note from the low root. And that 13 sounds kind of cooler. The 6 when we take the 6 off to the 5th. 6 to 7. Six, and then the 4th, 6, the 9, minor 3rd up, 7, 6, 4, so 6 is really hear that? Sixes. Six. When we're shuffling, and you're going from a perfect 5th, the E, to the 6, the major 6. So that's 5 and 6 with a root note. 5 and 6, 5 and 6, 5 and 6. We go to the next note. There's our dominant 7. Wow. Okay, so now we're all the way up, minor 3rd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, tritone, perfect 5th, minor 6, major 6, minor 7, or what we call the dominant 7. Seven's a really great note. It's very powerful, but seven, it's kind of, if we play seven, it's almost on that verge of wanting to go somewhere. It's powerful. I wouldn't call it dissonant, but I'd call it kind of a bluesy or a very serious tone. I like saying that way. Seven, 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 seven. A, and then G is the 7. I got that 7 around my major third and my perfect fifth to give me the dominant 7 chord. Or if I'm playing just regular stock bar chords, I got a 7 here and a 7 here, surrounded by perfect fifth and a major third. If I do minor third and 7, I've got a minor 7. Because that 7 can be either surrounded by a major third or a minor third. So it's a really cool tone, the dominant 7. Well, that was our 11th tone. If I go to the next tone and I counted them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 12th tone is the major 7. And if I put a root, major 7, a major third, and a perfect fifth, and A major 7 chord, or like this, it sounds nice. But just on its own, if I play, just the A and the G sharp, man, that's a half step. It's like the minor second. It's got that really dissonant because it's close. It's close like a minor second. It's a half step away from the root. There it is. And now I got it down here, and I got the root on the 4th finger up here. Then I bring my first finger up to a root, and then, yeah, ooh. But anytime you take like a bad person and surround them with good people like a fifth and a major third, then you get a pretty chord. So it matters who you hang around with, and even in music, the psychology is there. Who you hang around with, what tones, intervals do you put together? That's going to give you dissonance or harmony. It's going to create consonance or dissonance, depending on how you use these 12 intervals. So I use them in chords because I really strongly suggest you analyze your chords so that you know what intervals are in all the chords you play and your arpeggios. And then when you play solos, be aware of all the intervals that you're playing. And when you do, when you get good at it, then everything makes sense musically. And when you talk to other musicians and relate to them, if they know their intervals or something about music theory, you guys will be able to talk the language of intervals together. And you'll be able to make better music because you understand. You're going to hear music better because you're going to hear what minor sixes sound like and major sixes. And you're going to hear what the perfect fourth sounds like. A perfect fourth to a major third. You're going to hear that 9 up on the top. or you're going to bend that 9 in a blues. Six. So as I'm playing, you see, I'm hearing these tones. I know them. Major third, perfect 4, 5, 6, and then I'll go to my 2, my major second, and then I'll use my minor second and the dominant 7. Minor third, minor 7, tritone 4, 2 or 9, major third, mellow, major third, my arpeggio, dominant 7, arpeggio, dominant 7, I use the 6 major and the dominant 7 in that arpeggio. So as I hear my roots, my 4th, my minor third, Albert King would take those minor thirds and double bends, not just a whole step bend, but 2 whole steps. And the increments. I know what I'm sliding, and I'm muting to a 5th, ending on my 4th. Using my effects, my muffles, my tones. So I hope that this video, I know it's kind of long, but you can stop it on certain parts, and you got to investigate, you got to explore each interval, each of the 12 tones. You got to hear the dissonance and the consonants when they sound dissonant or poisonous or horrid, horrific, and when they sound warm and nice and pretty and pleasing. And then the in-betweens, like maybe the perfect 4th is maybe in between. So when you do this, you're able to feel what your emotions are in your heart and your soul and your mind, and how your mind works, your mindfulness. You can bring your feelings more to the tones, to the intervals, which makes, when you're soloing or coming up with melodies or working with songs, you're going to be good because you're ear training, you're hearing the tones, the intervals. You understand some music theory, and you know the relationship of certain intervals to certain root notes and chords and what they sound like. So if I went in another room and I played you'd probably know that's a tritone. Yeah, he's playing tritones. If I went in another room and I played you'd know I'm playing major thirds. If I went in another room, you might hear I'm playing a 5th and a minor third. And then there's the root. So as you hear and work with intervals more, your ear gets better. You pick up riffs. You pick up things from other musicians. Don't even have to be guitar players. It can be another saxophone player, keyboard player, organ player. And you hear, wow, what tone is he using? What interval is that? I like that. I like what I hear. And you can do it. You can hear that interval and pick up your guitar and find it. And your ear gets better, and you start associating your intervals into what you play and what you create. So here we go. Intervals, the distance between intervals, the use of intervals. With creativity, you will get there by going on adventures of discoveries with your intervals. Maybe a safari of intervals, but you have to go on safaris. You have to go on missions of discovery. I like to use that word adventures, okay? We're going on a holiday of exploring intervals, adventures of intervals. The more you do it, the better you get. And sometime you'll look back and go, gosh, I'm glad I went to Robert Noah at the Guitar Zone, and I'm glad I'm a patron of his, because he really taught me something really, really important about music. And that was to really learn about intervals and how you can use them and how you can hear them and how they become parts of chords, riffs, melodies, bass lines. They're used to make music, intervals. We can even hear intervals in nature. You might hear the trees blowing at a certain pitch, and then you hear a little bird chirp. Well, that's an interval there going on. Or you hear a muffler on a car at a certain pitch, and then you hear another motorcycle come by, and that's at another pitch. So you put those pitches together, and what are they? Maybe they're tritones, Maybe you hear something really nice in nature. You hear those major thirds. You hear the ocean at a certain frequency, a certain pitch. And then you hear the birds chirping, or you hear the waves crashing. So we have to be aware of intervals and sounds in nature. And that helps us make discoveries and go on adventures. It helps our creativity. But the more you do this, more adventures, the more discoveries you make, the more richer you get with understanding and theory and reasoning your music, the more you're able to put your heart and soul into what you play. So that when you play a solo, it's not just, you're just copying someone or playing something that sounds cool. Hey, it's coming from your heart, because you feel those intervals. You hear those sounds, and you feel them in your heart and in your mind. And that's what makes the magic of great musicians, is when you're at that point where your emotions are being played and being felt by your use of intervals. What notes you choose in a certain key, whether it's minor, major, diminished, augmented, whatever chord you're playing, what intervals you choose for the melody or the solo or the improvising you're doing. This is coming from your knowledge, from your mind. It's coming from your heart. If you feel that bend on the perfect fourth or the 7 or the minor third, if you feel that, that's coming from you, inside you, to the guitar. And that's what the guitar is so great about. This is a great guitar, but it's only as great as if I can feel those notes. If I can feel that, then I've got the magic. And you'll see certain players that go through a visible thing, but they don't have it. All right, thank you for your patronage. Thanks for being at Guitar Zone. I'm Robert Noel, and really take this whole thing about intervals to heart.